just want to make sure that you guys are aware. Next week, as I mentioned, we are heading off to the U.S. National Conference, but we are still going to hop on a call with you guys next Monday, the 29th, but just at 11 o'clock. So we will not be doing the 5 o'clock call. So we'll be coming to you live from Las Vegas, just a day away from the actual kickoff of the U.S. conference. So we're very excited to have you
Lisa,
attending that.
can't you do that a little more? Said live from Las Vegas.
You know, I really should try to sell that a little bit more live from Las Vegas. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so we're very excited to have you guys joining us next week as well. So please make sure that you invite members of your chapters and other directors to join us on that call, because we'll be coming to you, as Ivan said, live from Las Vegas.
No,
We're very excited
live from Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Like
yeah. I have to get more theatrical for sure. So we're very excited to have you on next week. And who knows what we're going to share with you next week, because we will be in Las Vegas. So what happens in Vegas will not be staying in Vegas if we get too crazy. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of crazy, Ivan, look at this. This is amazing. This is what our members in March did. Over $2 billion in closed business for our members as a result of 1.3 million referrals. This is pretty exciting.
It is.
I mean, I think it's amazing. I know when I first started with BNI, I didn't think these numbers would be hitting this. And each month after month, these numbers just keep going up. And we saw the last 12 months, we had over $23 billion in thank you for closed business as a result of over 15.5 million referrals. So, Ivan, when you started thinking about BNI, did you see these numbers?
No. I mean, not when I start. It took a year and a half before I really figured out that this could be as large as it turned out to be. But in the beginning, not in my wildest dreams did I think we would be doing more business than many countries' GDP. The last time we did a calculation, BNI has more thank you for closed business than almost 100 countries in the world and their GDP, their gross domestic product. So I'd like to tell you that I saw that when I started, but that came later.
That's amazing. It's just absolutely incredible. It just certainly blows my mind every time I think about it. So it's incredible. And I know so many people, it's so underreported too, I think. So I know a lot of people who don't even bother putting it in or don't put it in accurately or timely. So it's just incredible the impact that people are having around the world, all just because you had an idea to start this business. So it is just amazing.
when I talk to the media and they ask me, where'd you come up with that number? And I tell them, this is the number that members put into our system, into BNI Connect. And they might forget to put stuff in. Media is like, okay, never mind, next subject. And I never really have had an issue with that because it's members' input.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's incredible. Yeah, and I think we train them to how to put the numbers in, so there's consistency in how we report it, because we want the numbers to be accurate, not overinflated. So it is really great to see the success our members are having across the world. So it's fantastic. We did, of course, want to mention last year, we had such incredible results from Member Extravaganza last year. The cruise was on the Royal Caribbean Independence of the Sea this year. Well, we have a few photos from that. Dr. Misner, do you want to share some thoughts about these photos?
Well, this is me. I think the one on the left is the mixer as the cruise just was getting started. So when the cruise starts, we have a little mixer. We invite all the members and their guests. And as you can see, I dress up for the event. It's casual. And we just connect and talk and chat. I believe that the one on the right is right after I spoke. So at most of these events, we have a mixer. We have dinner every night together as a group. All the tables are close to one another. I go around, meet everybody. I sit with a different group of people every night. And then usually on Saturday, I do a morning presentation. And whoever wins, they get to vote on what my presentation is. We'll give 2 or 3 choices and they get to vote. And I'll do whatever talk they want. It could be on a topic. It could be an Ask the Founder, whatever. And this was after the last event. And those are the members who were at that event. So I love hanging out with members, talking to members, speaking to members. It's fun.
I think what always doesn't surprise me but every time I see people who go on these cruises, they reach out to me and tell me how much fun that they had, how much accessible you are to them, and how much you really just pour into them. Like, I don't think you waste a minute of that cruise where you're not trying to engage with someone in BNI. Like, you're just fully engaged with them. They appreciate it. There's love and appreciate all the conversations and you spending time with them. And so I just really want to encourage people. You're on this call obviously because you're really excited about Member Extravaganza. Your chapter is excited about Members Extravaganza. So we really want to today spend some time talking about like how to do it. And I'm going to introduce someone to come up as a speaker right now. You guys may be a little familiar with him. He's probably besides Dr. Misner, the most known person in BNI, our one and only Jeremy Walsh. He is the Director of Support for BNI Connect and Business Builder. He's been a member since 2002. He's held every leadership position, and he's performed as an area director. I think sometimes people forget that you've actually been in their shoes. So you're not just like the guy behind BNI Connect, but you actually walk in their shoes. And so you've done this, of course, in Rhode Island, where you oversaw 22 chapters, over 500 members, and over half a dozen directors. Whew, you sound busy. 2011, he was invited to create a support system, and that's really where we got BNI Connect going. And he's been working with BNI headquarters and the national global offices as well. And his team, which I think you should be very proud of, has answered more than 475,000 support tickets in Connect and Business Builder, and maintains an average response time of 15 minutes. That's so impressive. In his spare time, yes, Jeremy does have spare time. He is on the executive board of the BNI Foundation, where he proudly serves. He enjoys cooking, coaching, and volunteering with the Boy Scouts. One thing that few people know about him is that he also plays the flute and has recently joined the Wakefield Community Concert Band. So that's amazing, Jeremy. I have no doubt, like every time I meet and talk to you, I learn so much from you. And so, like I said, people forget that you're actually in a chapter, that you actually have been in their shoes. So I asked you today on here because I wanted you to share what you do in your chapter, because you do hold your chapter accountable during Member Extravaganza, and you have really great results. I would love for you to share with us what you do.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So yes, as you're saying, I am actually still a member. So I still go to weekly meetings. Still am held accountable myself for doing one-to-ones and, bringing visitors and doing CEUs, and CEUs are the easy part for me, but, passing referrals, all of that stuff I still do on a weekly basis. So I'm right there with you. As a matter of fact, we just had a visitors day not too long ago, and you would think that my chapter would just automatically be experts on all of this just by osmosis, but I can tell you that that's not the case. I still have to work with the members in my chapter. We have about 30 people in my chapter, and coach them through some of these things as well. I would love it if they all just use the app every day, but they need to be reminded, if you will, as well. So that's what I'm going to do today. Is I'm going to remind you guys a little bit of some of the functionality that's out there and how it can help to support your visitors days. With all the Member Extravaganza stuff that's going on, we have these tools at our fingertips, and I'm going to also show you a little technique that I kind of came up with myself that really isn't so much to do with BNI Connect as it is using the information we have from BNI Connect in order to help to motivate your chapter a little bit. So get through these first couple of things real quick. Let me just go through. I already had an introduction, don't need to do that. That's Faces to the Names, by the way. That is the amazing support team that answers probably 400 of the 475,000 tickets that they're dealing with. So they are absolutely a phenomenal team.
But Jeremy, weren't at least two of those people, haven't they been involved with BNI Connect for at least 10 years or more?
Yes, absolutely. So so Jackie Hamill has been around for ever. She's been
at least 12 years. She was involved in the development.
Yes, she was about from 2011 or 2012.
Yeah, and Riaz as well, yeah.
Yep, Riaz has been around since 2000. Well, he's been in BNI for 20 years. So he was a national administrator in Malaysia before coming onto the team and helping us with the APAC community out there. So
I just think it's good to put it in perspective that these people have been around BNI a long time. Sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, not at all. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. I need to put that into the introductions going forward. So it's an important point. Quick pop quiz for you guys. I always like to test your knowledge and get you guys interactive here. So if you want to put your answers in the chat window. And the first question is, what apps on your phone can you send out a BNI Connect invitation through? So what apps on your phone can you send out a BNI invitation through? It's a little bit of a trick question, but well, yes, the BNI Connect app, but it also does something special. So the answer to this one is pretty much every single app on your phone that is a communication-based app, you can send out, you start it in BNI Connect, and you can send out the invitation using, WhatsApp, WeChat, Facebook Messenger, X, all of those communication programs, you can send out an invite starting with the BNI Connect app. All right, so here's the next one is, what do you need before you register a visitor for your meeting? Before you go and register a visitor for your meeting, what do you need? What is the most important thing that you need? Email, phone number. Misty has it there. Permission. You need permission to register them. It's just like a referral. You need to they need to agree to be contacted. Same thing with registering them for an upcoming meeting. So, and then finally, when is a visitor reminded of a meeting once they are registered? Close, not the day before. It is 2 days before the meeting. Good job, Sherry. Excellent. So that is your quick pop quiz for today. So I just really quick want to review with you guys. There's a couple of different steps here in BNI Connect. If you would like a deep dive into this, use that QR code. It will take you to the training that's already available up on BNI Business Builder. I only have like 45 minutes today, so I can't go through it into too much detail. Oh, I'm sorry. I only have 4 to 5 minutes today. So I'm not going to be able to go into that much detail, but just want to remind you guys that that's out there. So real quick though, things I just want to show you, I want to remind you about is that in order to invite somebody, just go into the mobile app, and here in the mobile app, click on visitors in the bottom. There are 2 things. There's 2 sections. One is send an invitation, and the second one is register a visit. So the first one is if they're showing interest, but they haven't given you permission to save their information. They haven't said, yes, I want to come to a meeting. Giving an invitation gives them the opportunity to respond to it. And yes, you can send email, you can send SMS, and that share button will allow you to send an invite using any app on your phone. Again, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, any of those you can use by using that share button, and it will send them a code to register themselves. Now, if you do have permission, if they say, yes, I want to come to your meeting, go ahead and use the second option down on the bottom, which is to register a visitor for your meeting. And I got to tell you that we do get a lot of support tickets from visitors that are a little shocked, like, what's this email? I didn't register for a meeting, right? It's kind of embarrassing to write back to them and say, yeah, somebody must have just put your email address into the system, right? So please make sure that you have permission before you go and register, because they will be alerted about that registration. All right, so those are those quick things here in BNI Connect. And the important thing is that once you have registered them, especially for these visitors days, you can now keep track of all those registrations. You do have to go into the big system for this one. You have to go into the full website, but there is a great report under the reports section. So if you go to reports chapter, there is a visitor registration report. And the visitor registration report will help you keep track of all of the people that are registered for these upcoming visitors days. So, we're having a meeting in the BNI Burr chapter coming up soon, and we do have 3 people already registered for that meeting. We got Fred Flintstone, Juan Valdez, and Sharon McAleer. They're all coming to the meeting. Hopefully, we will see some more registrations in there. And the reason I'm showing you this report is because the next thing I want to show you is just something I came up with. This is something that's helped me with my chapter in order to really ramp up momentum for the visitors days. And a little bit about our core value of accountability and also a core value of recognition. So one thing I did was, and this, again, this is not something that's in BNI Connect, but I started doing this actually about, I don't know, this is about about 2014. So about 10 years ago, I used this for a Visitors Day. And all I did was for about a week before our Visitors Day, I started sending out a daily email reminding our chapter that we had a Visitors Day in a couple of days. And I included all of the registrations that are down there on the bottom. So you can see here that, and again, nothing fancy here. All I did was take the number of days and put it in a big red font in the email, and then the number of visitors that we had. And a magic thing happened. As soon as everybody saw their name on the screen, or I should say, as soon as everybody didn't see their name on the screen, they wanted to be on the screen. And anybody want to guess how many visitors we got registered between day 6 and day 5? We went from 6 to 21 registered visitors overnight. Just that little bit of a reminder. When another day went by, we went to 26 registered visitors, then 34 registered visitors. Then, kept sending it every single day. 2 days, we had 39 registered visitors. 13 hours until our Visitors Day, and we were up to 45 registered visitors, right? Because if it wasn't for the last minute, nothing would ever get done. And because registrations, right? Registrations really help because it's a commitment to visit the chapter. They get the reminders, and you can't really fake it. Out of those 45 registered visitors, now traditional Visitors Days get maybe a 50% show up rate. When you have them registered and they agree to come to the meeting, we had 42 out of the 45 registered visitors show up at that meeting. So this technique, it's very simple. It's just an email, but it really helps. And just because, it has to be repeatable, right? I don't have much experience with this whole shampoo thing, but we did this again just a couple of weeks ago. We had and it was early March. We had a Visitors Day in our chapter. Same thing. Started out with 6. We actually started out with 21 registered visitors that time. And I added a little something from the recognition standpoint to show who was inviting the most visitors. But by the time we had our Visitors Day, 2 days before, we had 32, 17 out of 30 participating members in that chapter. And then we ended up with about 30 or 29 of those 34 registered visitors there. So I highly recommend. It's just a little bit of a motivation piece, a little bit of recognition, a little bit of accountability in a very gentle way. And of course, if you want more, please jump onto the deep dives Wednesdays at noon. We go over lots of stuff like this. And if you'd like the recordings, you can find them up there as well. Did I keep it to 45 minutes?
Yeah. Great job, Jeremy. Yeah, I think this is incredible. It really speaks to a lot of things that Dr. Misner talks about, of course, with accountability and everything we train on, of course, remember Extravaganza and everything that we do. It really does help drive people actually getting the visitors registered and committing to the success of the chapter. So thank you. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to having you on our next call. So please, if you thought Jeremy's presentation was excellent, tell your fellow members and directors, I got to be on the 5 o'clock call so they can see exactly what he is talking about. So you guys can have the same success in your chapters. All right, let me get my presentation back up on here. Yep.
We had one question.
Okay.
Donya asked, why as a CSC can I not register visitors to other chapters? I can only register them to my chapters.
It has to do with GDPR. It's a permissions thing. We only have permissions to basically put the private information in to chapters that we directly support or have an agreement with. And that's going to be the chapters that you're assigned to. So it's really, it's a legal thing more than anything right now. Sorry.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jeremy. And now I want to turn it over to Dr. Misner. And we do have one other guest that's on here too, Steve Reel with the chapter as well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Misner. Please share some thoughts with us today.
It's a legal thing. Believe me, I understand that. That is an issue. And Jeremy, in your test, I actually didn't know one of the answers. So I didn't know that you could send out messages from any app. So well done.
Awesome. Stumped the founder day. I feel
you
like
did. You stumped the, well, it's not the first time. Believe me, I've been stumped a few times.
But you'll know for the 5 o'clock call. So
okay. Yes, I will. I will. So chapter growth, why is it important? The bottom line is larger chapters generate more referrals, not arithmetically, but exponentially. So when you have a larger group, and I'm going to show you a few podcasts, and there's one or two in there that talk about this, and we have hard data on this, that when you grow a chapter, you grow the referrals, not just arithmetically, but almost exponentially. And that's why growth is important. How to grow? You grow by inviting people, but not just any warm body. I think too many times we do kind of a mirror test. You know, we stick a mirror under somebody's nose, and if it fogs up, you're in, we'll take you. No, you have to pick good business professionals. But if you pick good business professionals and you grow, you're going to increase your referrals substantially. More members definitely equal more referrals, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. And to some extent, well, there's a mindset issue, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a moment. But let me share my screen because I want to show you a couple of podcasts that I think are really important. Let's start with, let's see here. The Double Triple Effect, podcast number 177. Write that down. Write it down. Podcast number 177. And basically, what this podcast talks about is that when you double your size, let's say from 20 to 40, you will, over time, triple. That's right, triple the number of referrals. It doesn't happen overnight, but it definitely happens that when you double the chapter size, it triples the number of referrals. How can that be? Well, it happens because of a number of reasons. First of all, it's, you know, you get a bigger chapter, it's more exciting, but also you fill power teams. And when you fill power teams, then one referral can become 2, 3 referrals. So if you have a referral for a wedding, you can give it to, you know, the wedding planner, you can give it to the florist, you can give it to the travel agent, you can give it to the jeweler. I mean, there's a number of referrals that come from one referral. So when you have a larger chapter, you generate more referrals because of power teams, if nothing else. Let's see if I can move this. Okay. Next, generating more referrals, episode number 72. Generating more referrals. And one way to do that is larger groups. Larger groups generate more referrals. So write down episode number 72. That's an important episode for why the size of a chapter is important. Episode number, oh, this is a good one. Episode number 469, 3 + 1 = member success. And this is a really good example of how, you know, 16 members, you have 256 connections, 32 members, you have 1,024 connections. It's trying to think of the Metcalf. It's called Metcalf's law. I call it the quadruple effect. That when you double your size, you quadruple the connections that you have. And so episode number 469, take a look at this. What I'm sharing with you here is why is it important to grow a chapter? It's important because you increase your referrals. That's all I want. I want you to increase your referrals. I want you to get more referrals than you ever thought possible. And if you're in a group of 15 members, you're not going to do that. 20 members? 30 members? Yes. 40, 50, 60, 80 members? You're going to be getting more referrals than you ever thought possible. And that's why I'm showing you these particular podcasts, because they will show you how to do this. Episode number 383, you do the math. This one talks about how increased chapters size will increase the number of referrals. Episode 383, write that down. Episode 239, bigger is better. This is a great referral from a retired director who talks about the fact that when she had chapters that went to 50 members, they generated way more referrals. Each of these podcasts will show you why. That's the key. Not just the how, but the why. I've talked about the how. How do you invite people in previous webinars we've done, which have been recorded And Dr. Renz, Lisa can tell you where to go for those. But that's the how. Here's the why. And episode number 659 in inviting visitors is easy. I talked about on one of the previous episodes. If you go to 659, yes, it is about inviting visitors online. But if you scroll down, you'll see there's a whole series of podcasts that I've done about how to invite visitors. So 659 is really great for everyone for these reasons. Okay. It's a mindset. It really is. If you believe you can or believe you can't, you'll be right. I want to tell you a quick story. I have a friend of mine, a director that was in India. And this is a few years ago, he told a chapter. Well, actually it was at a regional event. He said to the group, do you know there are chapters in the US that are $1 million chapters? And they're like, really? $1 million chapters? Yeah, they generate $1 million. Not rupees, dollars. And a couple of years later, he went back to the region and they said, we have 10. We now have $10 million chapters. He's like, wow, that's impressive. And they got there because they grew their chapter. But here's the thing. They grew them so big. He never told them. He didn't think to tell them it was $1 million a year. He just didn't think to tell them that. And they were like, yeah, we're doing $1 million a month. Not a year, a month. $1 million a month, not 1 million rupees, 1 million a month. Now, here's the interesting thing. The last time I looked at the data, there were over 50 chapters in India that were doing $1 million a month. And out of all those chapters, 50, 60 chapters that were doing $1 million a month, only one was less than 50 members. All of the rest were over 50 members, and they were doing $1 million a month. They were doing $12 million in thank you for closed business a month. Why is growth important? Growth is important because it impacts your bottom line. You will get more business if you have more quality members in your chapter. And that's the message I've got for you today, Dr. Renz. I hope that's helpful.
So incredibly helpful. Really appreciate that. It blows my mind when I was learning that all these chapters were doing the $1 million a month. It just overwhelms me to think about that. I just couldn't imagine. I know my business when I was in BNI.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that he didn't tell them it was a month? He just said $1 million, and they were like, "Well, then it's possible. We can do it." Yeah. And that's the mindset issue. If you think you can or you think you can't, you'll be right. And this group was like, "Well, if they can do $1 million a month, we can do $1 million a month." But he didn't tell them a month. He didn't think to tell them a month. It was a year. They didn't know any better. That's the beauty of this. You can do this, everyone. You can do this if you have the right mindset. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I wanted to add that.
Never interrupt me, but yeah, my business grew 200% my first 2 years in BNI, and it just blew my mind. I didn't have the expectation, but nobody told me what I could or couldn't do. So I just did what I could do and just did my absolute best. And it was just easy. And I had a larger chapter. So it really does show the point of having larger chapters. But I do also want to move on to Steve Reel. He's been very patiently waiting. Steve Reel is on the line with us today, and we appreciate you taking time with us today. He is the president of his chapter with BNI NWA Referral Partners. He is in Arkansas West. His chapter went from 15 members to 47 members in just 12 months. It's incredible growth under your leadership. So Steve, you were doing a fantastic job. Now, Ron Leonard, president of US Core, he couldn't be on this call, but he was nice enough to send this slide for us. But I would love for you, Steve, if you don't mind unmuting your mic and getting on this call and sharing with us a little bit about kind of what you guys did, sharing what this slide really means, and just giving us some information, some tips in what you did in your chapter to really kind of lead to your success.
Yeah, hello, Lisa, and hello, Ivan. Thank you for having me on the call. I really appreciate it, and I'm really thankful to be able to represent the Ozarks region over here, and specifically Northwest Arkansas. So I want to take you back to January 11th of 2023. I get a text from my president. At that point, I was the vice president, and I'd only been in chair for about 3 months, and he decided to quit. And this was after another president had quit 90 days prior to that. So we had a lot of turmoil in our chapter, and we were at 15 members at that point. And so after the January 11th text that I received, now it was time to figure out what we were going to do, because the chapter didn't know what was going on. We had a lot of turmoil. We had some folks that weren't really doing their part as members. And so we were kind of in a spiraling, a downturn. It wasn't a pretty sight. And so I accepted the position as president. And so really we just kind of had a meeting with the membership, and our numbers were not good. We were ranked 12th out of 14 chapters in Northwest Arkansas. When I look at the traffic lights, our score was 25. We were in the gray. So we weren't doing what BNI, the guidelines and what you put together here, we weren't doing a good job of that. So basically, I just asked the membership, we just got to get back to the basics. We don't want to add anybody right now. We just want to go to the basics and start doing our ones every week. And then we talked about that weekly. We had reminders. Hey, has everybody got their ones done? Be sure you enter them in the app. And just really just got back to the basics, and we started seeing a change in our power of one. We started seeing more members in green. We started seeing more energy. We started seeing more referrals. And so we did that for, I don't know, probably about 5 months. So when you look at this graph, through July, beginning of August, you saw a flat growth. And that's because we reset the chapter. I was building my team. At that point, I didn't have anybody. I was the only one really, that was stepped up, and now it's time to really go with step one. And so that's what we did. And we focused on the basics until the beginning of August. And then it was time to start adding members. And we did that through visitors. And we saw that we started getting some growth. And you can see based on the chart, August, September, October, we had a little bit of a bump. We still weren't getting the conversion that we should be getting based on the amount of visitors we started bringing in. And so I reached out to another visitor host, Mike Ramsey. He's in the Benton County Business Builders, and he has done an incredible job doing a pre-call to visitors the day before. Hey, Ivan, are you going to be at our meeting tomorrow? We're looking forward to seeing you, that kind of thing. And then, of course, they come to the meeting because you called them. You've made them feel good and wanted. And then they come to your meeting, and then call them after. We have our meetings on Thursdays. So Friday, follow back up with them. Hey, Ivan, what'd you think about the meeting? Is this something that you think is interesting to you, or do you think it's going to help your business? And then the next question is, do you want to join? I mean, we're pretty direct down here in Arkansas. And so that's what we did. And you can see where, from October to January, we had another bump. And then that's when March Madness started. And we do that in our region from January 1 through March 31st. And it's based on points. So 200 points for new members, 100 points for renewing members, 50 points for a qualified visitor. And then if you lose a member, you get 150 points deducted from your score. And so we got very aggressive. We were really leveraging social media. Everybody, every week I was like, okay, we got 8 visitors. We need to get to 10. We need to get to 12, 15, And then we had a mega visitor day, and we had 32 visitors in one meeting. And our conversion rate started going up, and we were sharing our page. That's an ask that we have on every meeting. If you're a visitor, please go to our page and share it with your friends. And since November 9th of 23, we've grown our Facebook on our page 1,100, close to 1,100 people. So we're really leveraging digital media. And basically, when you look at our traffic lights, we've grown our chapter 26 members in 6 months. So that's where you see the graph just basically go straight up. And at the end of March Madness, the highest score, I think we've been doing this like 9 years in the region. The highest score was 6,150 points. And we ended March Madness with 10,550 points. And so this chapter has really stepped up. We've got so much energy in the room. I put some numbers together. When I look at last year, year to date, and this year, year to date, and that would be from October 1st through the second week in April. So last year we had 15 people. This year we have 47. Last year we gave 217 referrals. This year, year to date, we're at 658. Referrals received, we were at 192. We're now at 629. Visitors, we had 51 last year. We had 173 this year. Thank you for closed business. At the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, to earn money and grow our businesses. So last year, year to date, we were at $663,000. And this year, we're at close to 2.5 million. So we've grown that by $1.8 million just in this year alone over last year. So, you know, Ivan, you had mentioned you double your membership and you triple your referrals. And when I look at my membership, half of my members, with 26 new members in the last 6 months, more than half of them are brand new members. So their referrals haven't ramped up yet. But we're already tripled the amount of referrals so far this year, and we're just getting started. And so it's amazing what's going on here, and the amount of interest we have. You know, we've woken up a lot of other chapters, and we've been helping those people. If we get visitors in that can't join our chapter, then we're pushing them to our chapter success coaches. Rob Cunningham is ours, and he's phenomenal. And so I contact Rob, my visitor host, my VP. We all contact Rob to give them names of people who are interested in BNI that can't join our chapter, so that we can help grow the rest of Arkansas. So it's been super exciting.
That's really incredible.
That is incredible. Lisa, do you mind if I say a couple of things?
Of course.
Steve, what an amazing story. And there are so many things in that story that I think are important. One is that you had a period of time where it was kind of flattened, where you were trying to reset. People don't quite understand the importance of resetting. I first recognized this, and I've really not talked about this in BNI too often. I first recognized this when I was working for the Department of Commerce back in 1980, and I worked for the Census Bureau. And I was hired by the office in Hollywood, in North Hollywood, to come in for the Census Bureau. And it was a mess. The office was a mess. And I basically fired a bunch of people and reset everything. And the entire office thought I was insane. And they were like, what is this idiot doing? And it was laying the groundwork for growth. And we were 6 weeks behind, and we ended up on time for delivering the census in 1980 in Hollywood, because I reset everything. And so if you're listening to this, what Steve said there is so important. You got to reset the mindset of the group, which means you addition by subtraction, you let some people go, you let in good people. That's really, really important. And then the fact that you are doubling or tripling the number of referrals is exactly what I've seen for decades, not just like the last few years, for decades I have seen this. And this is so important what Steve is telling you. Look, sometimes people say, you just want more members. Yeah, I want more members. You want to know why? Because you are going to get more business. That's why I want more members. If it didn't impact you, the member, it's not going to work. And so more members gets more business for the members. And that's what makes it work. And that's why we have 39 years of consecutive growth, because chapters who get it, and they generate more business. Steve, thanks for being on today. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, you bet, Ivan. I'm honored to be here, and thank you. We just love helping other chapters. I was on a speed networking, and there was a chapter president from Jonesboro, and he asked me to come to their chapter and visit with their chapter and talk about these things. And so we're coordinating a timing to do that. But you had mentioned addition by subtraction. So we actually dropped from 15 members to 11 after I took over, because we had some folks that just weren't doing BNI correctly, and they were causing some drama, and they weren't doing their ones, and they, on their phones during the entire meeting. And, we talked to them and tried to get them back on track, and that didn't work. And so ultimately we had to let them go. So we got down to 11 members,
And people thought you were probably crazy, Steve. What are you doing? We're at 15, you're going to 11. What are you doing? But it was the best thing, as long as you have a plan to build it from there. By the way, episode 696 on BNI podcast is what Steve's talking about. Addition by subtraction, episode 696. Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we did. We just looked at the entire chapter, members, performance, expectations, and one of our core values is accountability. So I've really instilled that in our leadership team, is accountability. You need to be doing the things that are asked by BNI, because you're not only affecting yourself, but you're affecting other members by not doing your part. And so we have aggressive goals. We're at 47 members right now. We're trying to get to 60. And then we have a stretch goal to get to 100 by the end of the year. So we'll see how.
Steve, when you get to 60, reach out to me and I'll send your chapter a video congratulating you.
That's amazing, Ivan. I'll be in touch soon.
Okay, I'll be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah, you're
Thanks,
welcome.
Steve.
One thing that I would say, there's just a handful of things here. One, every chapter should focus on the basics, and your leadership should hold them accountable for your members to be doing it, and make sure they enter them in the app. I hear that more times than not anymore, but, oh, I did this, and this, but I haven't put it in the app. Well, I instilled a rule that you can't talk about it unless you've entered in the app. So then nobody had anything to talk about. Now we're talking about a lot of things. Maximize your BNI social media pages. When I look at several other BNI chapters, they have 100, maybe 200 followers. They're never posting. You have to get out there. You gotta get the masses. And we've been doing weekly posts, and we're seeing tremendous growth in our digital media. Celebrate successes and recognize performing members. That's very, very important, because people are working hard. We got full-time jobs, but the more, I always say that, BNI doesn't come with batteries. You have to be the energy behind your membership. And lastly, train your members. So when you look at our numbers, more than half of our members have 10 weeks or less, 15 weeks or less. They're not up to 6 months yet, 24 weeks. So we've paired everybody that's in green on our Power of One with members that are not in green. And so we have 2 to 3 people for every green member that we have weekly. We call them the accountability teams, and we have them there so that we don't leave anybody behind. And we want to make sure that everybody's coming along with us and learning, because as everybody learns and everybody gets in green, our referrals are going to go, they're probably going to double what we're doing right now. Because right now, new members aren't really bringing in a lot of referrals yet, but they will.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Okay, Steve, I'm just going to rename you Steve, the real deal, because you are the real deal as far as a leader of a chapter goes. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you and part of your wisdom today and really helping out in such great leadership in your chapter. So thank you very much. All
Thank you.
right. Yeah, you're welcome. We do want to wrap up this call. We get you back to your regularly scheduled day. Just want to remind everybody the cruise is for the Allure of the Sea. If you haven't taken time to check out a video, you can find a nice video online on YouTube that it shows you all the amenities for the Allure of the Sea. We're going to get lots of people registered in winning this trip. And I think at the US conference, Ivan, we're going to share about how many people have already qualified. So we're going to be working on getting that report together so that way you can share it during the conference. So we're pretty excited about that. So that's it. What this video looks like. Oh, I'm not trying to share it. There you go. Do want to remind you guys the travel dates for the cruise are October 4th through 7th. So we have until May 31st for you guys to qualify. And we've never made it easier for people to qualify, right, Ivan? He's giving me a thumbs up. That's right.
Yes, there's a thumbs up. I was muted. Yes, it's
Yeah.
never been easier. It is easier today than ever to qualify for the cruise.
Yep. So there's no reason why everybody couldn't qualify. We are going to do a drawing per region, but all you have to do to be qualified for the drawing is if three or more new members join your chapter, or if you individually sponsor 3 or more new members in the same region, you can go qualify for. All the qualifying sponsors will go into a drawing and we'll have at least one winner per region.
And that's the big thing, is that we've never had individual qualification. It's always been chapter qualification, not individual qualification. So that's what is so much easier.
Yep. So we made it a little easier for you. That's really all we have today. Any final words, Dr. Misner?
Listen, I just want you to do well. Chapters, I want you to get more referrals than you've ever had before. And the way to do that is to build the chapter of quality members. Build a chapter of quality members. You're going to generate more referrals than you ever have. I want to build an organization of members who create referrals for life. And that's what we're focused on. And I'd love you to be part of that. And I'd love to see you at the BNI cruise in October. Thanks, Dr. Renz.
Yeah, thank you. And don't forget to share this either recording, or we certainly would love to have anybody in your chapter, any of the leaders in your chapter on our call at 5 o'clock today so they can hear this and ask any questions as well. So thank you all so much.
Yes.
And we'll
invite
see
them.
you guys.
Invite them to the one this afternoon. Good point. Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we'll see you guys later on. Have a great day. Bye.